Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, good afternoon if you're joining us from Europe. Okay. Good evening and good morning if you're in other parts of the world. My name is Alexandra Gonzon. And for those of you who don't know me, I am a communication coach. My aim is to help professionals and entrepreneurs in fashion express their best selves through advanced communication and presentation skills. Now, I'm very excited this afternoon because I have a very special guest. Um, and we have a lot of things in common. Now, as you can see from from the title of this interview, of this chat, let's call it a conversation. We're going to be talking about what it means to juggle fashion, business, and motherhood, and on top of all that, in a foreign country. Okay, so if any of you can relate to this, then we'll be very happy to have you write us, write your comments and all that. So again, just a quick intro. I met Fatima through this wonderful community here on LinkedIn, and for that I'm very happy because LinkedIn is a great way to really meet people from all walks of life. And in this case, someone who has a lot of things in common, someone who I have a lot of things in common with. So she and I are both have an experience in our experiences in fashion. We're both living in foreign countries, and now we're both moms. So I'll have her introduce herself, but right now, I'd love to bring her in, and so you can all meet her. So let's meet Fatima.
Hi,
Hello.
Alex. Thank
Hi.
you for having me tonight. I'm very excited to be here and to be in this chat conversation about this amazing topic.
Yes, this amazing topic. This like topic that we're constantly talking about, but thankfully, because it's something that we always have to talk about. I know some people are like, again, but yes, the fact that conversations still revolve around this means these are things that have yet to be addressed, right?
Yes, there's something that's still wrong, and that
Exactly.
we need to communicate and we all to be aware of it. So if we can talk about it and maybe help other women in this case, and also men, just to know, so
Yes.
they also know what is happening and the way we feel with this amazing topic.
Absolutely. You're right, Fatima, because again, this conversation is really for everyone, not just for women, but for men as well, because it helps to know, it helps for them to hear it directly from us, right? So, and also it's always good to have a two-way conversation in that sense. We don't want to, put the blame on anyone, but this is just a way to really talk about and unpack certain issues that we continue to deal with today. Okay,
Yeah, and
so
they're all
yeah,
facts. They're all
absolutely,
facts.
absolutely. So before we get deep into this discussion, Fatima, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your personal journey, your professional journey.
Well, my name is Fatima. I'm from France, but I live in Spain, and I've been living in different countries. I've been also living in Italy, in
Oh,
UK,
okay.
in Canada, in USA.
Wow.
So I've been living in very different countries, and I ended up in Spain.
Okay.
And as far as I can remember, I've been working in the fashion industry for the past 14 years. My expertise covers a wide range of subjects, such as product development. This is where I started,
Okay.
influence marketing, digital marketing, PR, communication, and obviously brand strategy. Well,
Okay.
today I am a co-founder and of a branding and marketing agency that called
Mm-hmm.
Sesame Universe that is based here in Spain.
Okay.
And I am leading fashion projects through the agency for DTC, for direct to consumer brands. And my main goal is to help any brand to be able to connect in a very meaningful way with their targets in a so saturated online world.
Okay. So, wow, you mentioned a lot of countries there, Fatima. So, I'm just curious, how many languages do you speak?
Well, actually, I speak 5 languages.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. And I'm going to ask you, how has that been able to help you in terms of, moving from one area of fashion to another? I mean, just how important were these languages to be able to navigate, an industry like fashion?
Well, this is so important. Actually, the languages also helped me because I studied international marketing, so it was obvious for me to travel.
Okay.
And it was like, okay, I'm studying international marketing. I need also to be in a different culture, know the different cultures and perspective, because we all know that from a country to another one, the way we communicate, the way we behave is so different. So also for
Yes.
brands, because at the end the brands are communicating in a way in a country and another way in other countries. So I knew that I wanted to do like to be able to live in different countries, to know deep down what is it, what are the differences in the cultural way. So I wanted to speak different languages, and the only way for
Okay.
me to learn languages is to be in the country. So that's
Okay.
why I was like, I'm gonna go to Italy because I've always loved Italian language. I don't know, I
Okay.
always loved it. So I went to Italy and I worked there.
Okay.
I
Okay.
learned about the culture. I learned about everything. And Italy is also a fashion country. They have a lot of fashion. They have a fashion history, so it's important for me for my fashion industry, for my fashion experience. And also Spain. Well, Spain, it's funny because Spain, it was the first country I went to do an internship for a luxury jewelry brand in Madrid.
Okay.
But actually, I decided to go to Italy, to Spain, because this is the country of fast fashion.
Interesting. Interesting that you chose it specifically for that. What
Yes,
what triggered that?
because well, I worked my first job. I had it in Paris because the Paris is the house, no, of fashion, high fashion brands and big
Yes.
fashion designers. So it was obvious that I started my experience, my work, my professional experience in France.
Okay.
I started to work in Christian Dior couture in marketing. A beautiful experience, amazing. I learned a lot of things, but I was also interested to see the other extreme that was fast
Okay. So
fashion.
from luxury to fast fashion, you wanted to see the
Have
end
the
to
whole
end.
yes, to have the whole picture. And since fast fashion was born, I would say in Spain because of the
Of course.
big group Inditex of Mango.
Yes.
So I went to Spain. Actually, I went back to work in fashion, in luxury, actually in Madrid. But then they called me in Inditex, so I went to work in as a product manager for
Mm-hmm.
Inditex. And this is where I started to learn about working in fast fashion in a very big corporate, because Inditex is so huge.
Okay.
The way they work, everything inside the processes are amazing. I mean, it's a good school. It's like
Okay.
L'Oreal for
Right.
the beauty, or for
Yes.
me in the fast fashion or fashion industry. Inditex is like a big school. I mean, I learned
Right.
a lot.
Okay. So from luxury Christian Dior to fast fashion, I mean that was quite a leap, but obviously you learned from the best of, both schools, so to speak, right? So what were the biggest skills, let's say, that you had to rely on when you made that shift? Tell us a little bit about what your lifestyle, what your work rhythm looked like when you were in fast fashion.
Well, actually, fast fashion is different from luxury in the product development. Actually,
Okay.
this is a lot of the most important. I don't want to say that quality is not important,
Okay.
but when you work in fast fashion, one of the most important thing is the price
Okay.
point. So we
Yes.
were always like, we need to lower the price point. We need to
Okay.
find the best price with the best producers,
Okay.
and so it was like always like the price. We
Okay.
need we needed also to achieve certain quality, but it was not the
Okay.
most important.
Okay, so the price was the first major consideration, so to speak. Yes.
Yes, and the
Okay.
quantity, the volumes. We had to
Okay.
sell a lot, to sell a
Right.
lot. So it was like always like about meetings, about selling quantities. So this
Okay.
is the difference that I had from fast fashion to luxury. Luxury, it was all about experience, making sure the client was the first one was a client in the
Right.
luxury, because
Yes.
it's so expensive. The product is so expensive, so it has to have like an amazing experience within the store,
Experience.
because in fashion, in luxury, the main way to sell is in a direct store. It's
Okay.
not like fast fashion that we're selling online already.
Okay.
Even if the pandemic
Right.
helped to make the shift, and all the
Yes.
luxury brands now are selling and trying to sell online, but
Yes.
it's not the same because the client is very price sensitive.
Of course.
So it's harder to buy a very expensive item online than buying it in a store, because in a store is different. You have all the experience,
Of
all the
course.
journey inside
Yes.
the store. So mainly it was the main differences, and it was about stress a little bit. In both hands, it was stressful because you had to reach different deadlines.
Okay.
But I don't know. I mean, I guess, in the two industries, the objective was the same, is to
Okay.
sell.
Right. At the end of the day, it's really about selling, right? But again, as you mentioned, I mean, luxury obviously requires a whole different approach because, rightfully the
Details are so
customers
important.
require that red carpet treatment that's included in the premium pricing. Whereas you don't have that in fast fashion. So yeah, very, very interesting indeed. So what so you moved to fast fashion, and then what happened after that?
Well, after being in corporates, I had at that time I was in Spain. Well, I was in Milan actually, and I wanted to change. I was in the Inditex. I was a bit of a burnout, so I wanted to change, and I
Okay.
had a proposal to work for a startup.
Okay.
So
So
I
from a colossal Inditex to a startup, again, that is a huge shift. Okay.
totally. It was all about big changes and big shifts for me,
Okay.
and I changed it from being a corporate with everything, with all the process, with all the organization, with big teams. If you needed
Mm-hmm.
something, you had someone that was in charge of the informatic, the IT. You had someone in charge of the communication, but
Okay.
every scale, and
Yes.
I ended up in a startup because actually I wanted to know what was it. I was like, okay, for me also for my curriculum,
Mm-hmm.
it's good to know also how it works for a startup. The way they're gonna be doing things is different. Being with a small team too, and start
Right.
from scratch. Actually, when I
Okay.
went the first day, one of the director told me like, look, the only thing I can give you is a white paper,
Okay.
and
And
you're gonna do everything by yourself. We want
wow,
you to
that's
help
like
us
literally giving you a clean slate. That's how we say it in English, right? You get to build everything from
from scratch.
zero. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So
So it was exciting at the same time, because when you work in big corporate, everything is so.
everything's basically decided on, everything's been decided on, so it's like you have guidelines that you just need to execute.
It's all about executing. And when you
Exactly.
try to step up a little bit, try to move, because they always say, no, we want people that think out of the box. We
Yes.
want people that are innovative, but it's very hard, because at the end, when you try, maybe you're doing the job of another person. So it's very
Right.
complicated, and because it's very competitive. The industry, the fashion industry is very competitive. But
Yes.
in a startup, it's a small company that is growing so fast, and In 2013, when we started with all the social media, with all the Facebook ads, it started in
Mm-hmm.
2012. There are so many startups in the digital area that were
Okay.
growing so fast. And
Right.
one of these company, this is where I ended up. It was actually a sunglasses company
Okay. Okay.
that was born in a digital that was born online because they
Okay.
started to sell through advertising Facebook ads. So they
Okay.
started to sell through Facebook ads, and it starts growing. The good
Wow.
part of that is that when you start through online Facebook ads, you can sell everywhere.
Okay.
It's not like when you start, like now it's different because the cost of the Facebook ads, the all the social media, it's more complicated now.
Right.
And it's more expensive also
It's more expensive. Yes.
the
Paid
advertising.
ads
But
are becoming quite an expense already. Yes.
yeah, it's very expensive. But when you go back to 10 years ago, it was completely different because there were no many companies that were selling online and were
Okay.
using Facebook ads. So there was no competition. There was no
Okay.
competition. The prices were lower. When
Right.
all the companies started to do all the Facebook ads, the competition was growing, and so the prices were growing too. So
Okay.
this is where I started. I started to help them because they were very big in Spain and they wanted
Okay.
to get into the Italian market. Since I
Okay.
knew the culture, because they were trying by themselves, but it was different the way they
Okay.
communicated because they didn't know
Of
Italian people
course.
are communicating so differently. And
Yes.
in Italy, the people buy luxury product,
Okay.
actually luxury
Okay.
sunglasses.
Sunglasses. Yes. But also
It's
because
all
you
about
have the
luxury
biggest
sunglasses.
manufacturers of the colossal manufacturers of sunglasses here. So this is, I imagine, this was not an easy market to approach.
No, it wasn't an easy market because the brand wanted, the main objective of this brand was to go against the monopoly of the sunglasses industry. So
Okay.
again, one of the biggest group that was Luxottica, that was Italian.
Yes.
So can you imagine? I'm going into Italy, so it was hard because the prices also were low. They're
Okay.
between 20 and 40. They wanted to be like the fast fashion of sunglasses, actually.
Okay.
So we had to try to change the way Italian people view the sunglasses, not
Okay.
only like a big sunglasses, fancy sunglasses, but try to see it like a an accessory that they can
Right.
buy. They can have the possibility to buy so many different colors,
Right.
so they can change every
So they can
day.
change more often, right? So
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be an investment piece that's going to break the bank all the time. You just,
totally.
something that you, like a, well, I was going to say scarf, but even scarves here are considered quite,
Yeah, yeah.
investment pieces for a lot of them. But okay, so were you able to achieve that? I mean,
Yes, we were
yes.
able to achieve that. We did a lot of collaboration. We work on
Okay.
the PR on the PR strategy,
Hmm.
communicating about the brand. But one of the things that helped also, it was this time we started the influencer marketing. That
There
was
you
not so
go.
famous. So we
Okay.
started to send sunglasses to some of the young people that were using Instagram at this
Yes.
time, so for free.
Okay.
At this time, Instagram was not about the money. At this
Right.
time, it was like people that were receiving products. So
Right.
you were sending products, they were using it, they did a photo,
Hmm.
they mentioned the brand. So we were one of the first company to do it. So it was easy to do it this way. And
Wow,
from
first to
that,
market. That's amazing. Okay.
but there was one thing that was so important to be able to sell more in Italy was about the designs. So
Okay.
this is where I went on the product team, and
Yes.
we started to create a product department
Okay.
that was aiming to create a very nice design sunglasses that were able to be sold in other countries that where the design is so important, like France and
Okay.
Italy. So
Okay.
I went back to product development.
Okay. Wow. So, but this is amazing because then you were able to leverage your previous experience in Italy and then your existing understanding of the Italian market, not just the market, but the mentality, the culture. Because you're right. I mean, it's the same product, but it's viewed in very different ways. But that was very helpful for you to be able to contribute
That's
into in this new startup, right?
Yeah, and the startup started like to grow so fast. It was crazy. It was 3 years of my life that looked like 10 years because it was so
Wow.
intense. I mean,
Okay.
fashion is what you're saying is so demanding. The industry because it's an online. When you're working on a direct to consumer brand that is online, it's even more overwhelming because it's always on.
Right.
Your website is always on, so you have to
Yes,
be always like changing everything because the people are
absolutely.
maybe get bored, so you have to change the product, you have to change the content. The content is so important, the image is so important, so you have to work on different campaigns. So I started to do all the creative direction with a team,
Okay.
and doing all the production, image production. So I was traveling
Okay.
to UK, to US. I was traveling to Mexico. I was
Okay.
always doing things. I was not And then I was traveling to China because we were producing in China.
Okay.
So I was like 3 years working like crazy. The brand was
Okay.
growing so fast. And this
Yes.
is where I got my first glass sailing,
Oh, okay.
actually.
Okay. But
Because
yes.
I was one of the only, in the leadership. Actually,
Okay.
I was the only one. I was the only woman in the
Okay. Wow.
leadership.
Okay.
When
Okay.
it started, it was all men, and
Oh
actually it
man.
was all
Okay.
friends,
Okay.
all men friends that started the
Okay.
business together. So can you
Okay.
imagine working with men and men friends?
And friends at that, so they were probably what? They were probably going out for drinks afterwards and still talking about work, but you weren't there. I mean, what does that like? What were some of the things you had to overcome, being in
Well,
an environment
actually,
like
the
that?
thing that I had to overcome is that they were doing their some trips. They didn't want me to come because there were
Oh,
going only men.
okay. Okay.
Or maybe just as an anecdote,
Yes.
some one day there was like a huge meeting with
Mm-hmm.
a huge American company that was
Okay.
about to sell that was about to wanted to buy the brand.
Okay.
So they came to the office and they told me, since one of the financial
Mm-hmm.
director of the
Okay.
American company was French, they told me like, come with us to the
Okay.
lunch so you can talk
Right.
to him. But it was meant like, you can help, since he's the financial director.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
if you speak to him in French,
Right.
it's gonna ease better
Right. The
the thing.
negotiations. So
Yes.
basically you had your role cut out for you because he's French or he speaks French and therefore okay.
So these things happen sometimes,
Yes.
or maybe because there was another anecdote that was very quite funny. There was a meeting where one of the investors,
Mm-hmm.
a new investor, was coming, and his wife was coming to the meeting,
Okay.
and one of the directors called me like, "Oh, you should come so you can speak during the meeting. You can speak with the investor's wife."
Oh dear. Okay.
And I'm like,
Wow.
okay, I can
Right.
do all the things. I can speak also about the business and everything. But just
Exactly.
to let you
Right.
know the way they see things. I mean,
Yes.
it's because you're a woman, it's actually like they call you for certain things.
Yes, for defined tasks, right? For like, oh, okay, if the wife is coming, then you can come along and you can, have your ladies talk over there
Ladies
while
talk, that's it. That's totally that. So
yes.
it was a bit frustrating, and then the brand was growing so fast, and they made a lot of promises, and they never
Delivered.
yeah, they never delivered and kept these promises. And
Okay.
so this is when I was very, I get like a burnout, and I
Yes.
decided like come on, I need to stop, because I all the time I was doing like all these big shifts, as you say, like
Right.
from luxury to fast fashion, big corporate,
Yes.
to another startups, and I give I give everything because
Yes,
it's so demanding, and you have
it
to
is.
prove all the time in the
Yes,
industry. You have to prove that you're good at your work, that you can do your work, and even if you're a
absolutely.
woman, you can do it well. That
Yes,
you're, it's like this sensation of always proving and
yes,
demonstrating.
yes.
So this
I
is
know
when I
exactly
decided
what
to
I'm.
stop.
Yes.
It was my first break,
Okay.
work professional break, and I took like
Right.
6 months just to think about what I wanted to do, if I wanted to go back to a corporate, where I wanted to
Okay.
work. And this is when I started as a freelancer.
Okay. Now, this is interesting, Fatima, because I mean, a lot of people in fashion, we all know that. I mean, the fact that you can get carried away. I mean, of course, we're all passionate about fashion. That's the reason why we even got into it. But when we're there, when we're in the thick of things, in the beginning, it's nice because everything's new and, you kind of go with the flow. But yes, you do realize that, wait a minute, why am I, after all these years, I'm still running, and I feel like I'm just constantly trying to prove myself.
Totally.
And it's like it's never enough. And so it was actually very courageous of you to actually recognize that and say, okay, no, I need to take a break and I need to figure things out for myself.
And yes, and totally. And this is where I decided, like, okay, I'm gonna work, because I was not. It's not that I didn't trust anymore working for a corporate, but I knew that it was gonna be hard for me to reach a certain point in, because, well, I love fashion. I'm an ambitious woman.
Yes.
I love my
And I mean,
work.
your background, considering everything that you've done in all those years, I imagine the frustration. You're like, okay, what else do I need to do?
Yes. So when I was as a freelancer, I was like, okay, I have, as I told you when I started the introduction, I have so many, my experience covers so many subjects. So
Yes.
I was like, okay, I can do this, I can do that, I can do that. I've been doing it for so many companies, so many brands. So now I can do it as a freelancer, I can, as a consultant, and I
Okay.
can offer my services to small companies. First of all, I started like, there are a few small companies that don't have the money to
Right.
maybe to hire big heads. So
Yes.
maybe if they hire consultants at the beginning, they can do the right movement, the right moves since the
Okay.
beginning for
Okay.
the other steps. So this is where I started, and actually I started to call all the people I've been working for, uh,
Okay.
all the collaborators I've been
Yes.
working for in the different brands, and I
Okay.
told them, like, hey, look, I'm a freelancer now. I do this,
Okay.
and I got my first job. And you want to know what my first job was as a freelancer?
Tell us.
I did like a production for
Okay.
in India,
Wow.
a
Okay.
fashion brand. So
Okay.
I worked with an amazing duo of photographers
Okay.
that are known, that are quite famous. They're from
Okay.
Spain.
Okay.
They're called Hunter and Gatti, and they gave me this opportunity. So I
Okay.
went to work with them for a fashion brand that actually, maybe you know it. It's North Sales.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So
Wow.
they had to do like a fashion production in India, in Mumbai.
Wow. Okay.
And it was about the reuse, reduce, recycle. And actually, it's funny
Wonderful.
because
Okay.
in these 6 months, I was thinking, I was a bit tired also about the fashion industry, because at the end, the fashion industry is the first fashion industry that is that is doing like global warming.
Yes.
So I had always these internal conflicts within
Right.
me. I'm like,
Okay.
I love to work for industry, but at the same time, this industry is having like a
It's
bad.
very polluting. Yes. Okay.
Yes. So when they call me for this, I was like, cool, because I'm doing
Yes.
something for fashion. I'm gonna do like a video that is trying to make
Mm-hmm.
people aware of the issues, and trying to
Mm-hmm.
make people to reuse, reduce, and recycle. So it was
Okay.
cool, actually, and I really liked India, because I went, and after 1 year after this campaign, I went to visit India. So
Mm-hmm.
it was an amazing experience. And after that, I started to work with different fashion brands, fashion
Okay.
startups in Spain,
Okay.
and I started. And I started also to be a speaker and a teacher for the L education in
Okay.
Spain
Wow. Okay.
to be able to train students in marketing, digital fashion. So yeah, it was a way of me for me also to share my experiences, all my skills, all the knowledge I had in the last 12 years with other people, and try to give my side, my point of view of the industry, also to make people aware of what is happening and the
Yes.
way they can, what they can do to try to navigate, and if they wanted to work in fashion, to know what's
Right.
happening, and maybe to try to find the right fit for them too inside the
Okay.
industry.
But so this is again, it's almost serendipitous, right? You take that break. You're thinking about, okay, how do I really want to be involved in fashion? And then you're also trying to listen to that voice telling you, okay, it's lovely, but it's also there's also that downside. And then your first opportunity comes, and it actually allows you to reconcile those things. So I think that's amazing. And the fact that you were able to you were able to you gained this contract, in a relatively short amount of time, also says that you've established a wonderful relationship with the people you've worked with in the past, because then they when they found out that you were now offering your services as a consultant, then they were happy to call you.
Yeah, yeah, it's so important. I mean, what sometimes in fashion industry people work so hard to try to
Go up the
um,
ladder.
yes, especially women, because there are so many women that are working so hard, and when they get to a point, they stay in this position because it's hard
Yes.
to step up.
Right.
It's hard to step up because the industry is not helping either, because we have a lack of women in the leadership in fashion companies.
Yes.
Because of the fact that we are talking now motherhood.
Yes. Yes.
Motherhood starts becoming an issue for
Yes.
companies, because when you're younger, it's fine, you can work all the hours, it's so demanding in terms
Yes.
of time and energy, because you have to always show, you have
Yes.
to show. I mean, when I was working in a fashion brand, they told me, don't take your break for lunch, eat in front of your computer. Or maybe they were saying like, you have to do more hours so they can see you at the office, and
Right.
they tell you all these things, so
Yes.
you start like, you need to do all these things so they can see you, so
Yes.
they can see that you're very interested in the company, in your job.
Yes.
So when you're younger, it's fine, you can do it.
Exactly. Also, because when you're young, you think that's how it is, and you
That's
think
how
that
it is.
these things are acceptable. So you just do everything that they tell you. And I can totally confirm that, because I've also worked in an environment, well, they didn't tell you blatantly don't, but you could see from how everyone was trying to get back to lunch even before the lunch break was over. They want to be the first one back in their desks, and everyone's kind of looking to see who the first. Nobody wants to leave first,
Nobody wants
because
to leave
that's
first.
almost like a crime. How dare you get up first even if your time is over? So these unsaid things, you're right. When you're young, you just sort of accept it, but there's a limit to everything. And obviously, I think what that's done is that it's normalized this toxic environment that unfortunately a lot of fashion companies have embraced.
Totally, totally. So yeah, I don't know where we were, so I'm
So
sorry.
okay, so you were talking to us about your freelance, when you started freelancing and this new project, and
So
then
yes, what I was saying is like, when you become a mom, well, I was freelance becoming a mom because
okay,
I wanted, like, as I told you, it was all about it was the timing at the end. It was like timing,
okay,
all the experience I had, and I
okay,
wanted also to have more control over my
okay,
hours,
precisely, of course.
my because at the end you only work,
Yeah.
work. You go back home, you're tired, and at the evening you don't want to do anything, and you're waiting for Friday night
Right.
or having the weekend. So I was like, okay, I wanted to be a freelancer because I wanted to choose the
Yes.
projects I wanted to work on, because I was
Okay.
like, and it was not about the amount of money. It was also about the people I wanted to work with, the way
Okay.
they treat you.
Right.
I decline many works because
Mm-hmm.
people sometimes you see the way they treat you, and actually in luxury, I don't want to say generally speaking, but
Yes.
in fashion and luxury, there are few people that are the way they treat is not a good way.
Yes.
So I wanted to also be able to choose the people I wanted to collaborate with. So that's why I
Absolutely.
was telling you like small companies, because the people that are creating their own company, they're people that are like very passionate about their company, their
Yes.
brand, their product. So they want to do everything to build this company. So I was like,
Yes.
okay, let's help them. Let's
Right.
help them.
So you were able to identify with the values of these startup companies because again, sometimes unfortunately, when brands get too big, then the values kind of like fly out the window.
Totally.
So and that's why you
You
have
became a
people
number. You're
mistreating
not a
people.
person anymore.
Exactly.
And for me, it was so important the human part. This is
Of
what we
course.
always say. We say the brand should be like try to be more human, the way they
Yes.
communicate with their consumers. But
Yes.
it's hard. It's complicated, and it's not only for brands and people and consumers, but I mean we as people that are working together in fashion industries. I speak about fashion industry because this is the industry I've been working in the last 14 years, and
Yes.
I know that it is an industry that's very complicated.
Yes.
So I think we can all try to work in a way that we can help each other, and as a woman we really
Hmm.
need that, because when you become a mom, it it starts to be it's more complicated.
Yes.
For instance, in my case, when I became a mom, I was very worried, and I was already a freelancer, and I was work.
And
I
you
was
were still worried. Okay.
yes,
So this is
I
you.
was
You already have you're controlling your time and and motherhood still, tell us about that.
well. I was worried. It's crazy because I was worried first because I really was compromised with my work, so I was worried not to find the right balance
Okay.
between my personal life and professional life, be able to take care of myself and my baby's health, because
Yes.
it's all about that. And I started thinking, yes, I have to. It ends up again to
Hmm.
demonstrate. I wanted to
Hmm.
demonstrate that I was able to be a good professional, but I also was able to be a good mom, and I was
Right.
able to be a good woman too, because at the
Okay.
end we are also women before
Yes.
everything else. So yeah, you start thinking about all the how I'm gonna do it, and also I really love my work, so I was not seeing myself staying at home. I was like,
Right.
okay, I'm gonna do like the 4 months, but I
Yes.
want to go back to work. How I'm gonna do
Okay.
it? And actually, when
Right.
I went back to work, in my old fantasies, I thought that it was gonna be easy. That I will bring my baby with me to all the meetings.
Right.
And
Okay.
it's not that easy. So it was not easy. It's very
Yes.
challenging. So I
Okay.
also I could see myself not saying to anyone. I was already a mom, and I
Okay.
was not saying to anyone that I was a mom, to
Okay.
possible clients, and
Right.
I wasn't saying anything
Okay.
because I was scared that when they knew that I was a mom of a
It would
baby,
affect
because it's
their.
hard
Okay.
with baby, that
Yes.
maybe they will think, oh, she won't have time.
Right.
She will be busy every time. She's gonna have to run for the baby.
Okay.
So I was
Okay.
so scared of that I was not saying anything. Actually, I was like
Okay.
acting like I was not a mom. Like
Okay.
I can do everything, but then at a certain point, it's getting very overwhelmed because you want to
Okay.
be good at everything. You want to do everything, and it's not
Yes.
easy. It's not possible because,
Right.
as I told you, then the guilt feeling, that's the worst, um,
Yes.
that we all feel as a mom, start knocking at your door and was like, I'm spending too many hours at work. I should be with my baby. Maybe my baby needs me. And I
Right.
was, oh, why I'm not saying I'm a mom?
Right.
I'm ashamed to be a mom, but because of all what we, I mean, I think it's cultural too. It's like
Yes.
once you're a mom, it's like you have to step
Drop
back,
everything else. Yes.
everything else, step back and
Yes.
take care of your baby. Oh, why are you bothering yourself of having a career and being um, a boss mom? Come on,
Hmm.
take care of your
Yes.
daughter. Take care of. It's crazy because they. I mean, men don't tell you that, but you start understanding that it's like if there's someone that has to step back, it's more the mother that has to step back. But I
Right.
mean, even
Yes,
between
that's
women,
true. There's also
between
that,
us,
unfortunately.
we have
Yes.
like this thing that we're like, we think like if you work, you don't take care of your daughter.
Right.
Poor baby
Yeah.
is not gonna have everything he needs. So you
Right.
start
Right.
feeling all this guilt
Yeah.
inside you, and it's very challenging.
Yes.
So I've
So
been
yes, Fatima, you mentioned earlier that yes, you a lot of it, and I agree, a lot of it is cultural. Like, what were maybe some of the cultural challenges that you've had? Because I want to remind everyone, you're doing all this, like all the big shifts you've been telling us so far. And you're living in a foreign country. It's like that makes it even more challenging. So,
well,
what
yes.
what were some of the more challenging cultural, I don't know, barriers, or that you've had to, or maybe you're still dealing with now as a mom? As well, I know that you'll tell us about it later. Your freelancing job is actually now. I mean, you have your own agency, so you are, in every sense of the word, an entrepreneur. You're a businesswoman.
Yeah, well, actually, I don't want to. In some countries, when you become a mom, they are waiting for you to step back and take care of your kids,
Right.
because this is the way it is.
Yes.
Like kids, mom, education, you cannot do both, and
Right.
you feel it. The way
Yes.
they they tell you things, you can feel it, and also in different countries. I mean, here in Spain a lot of the people I know,
Mm-hmm.
women that became a mom, they all took like 2 years of
2 years off.
2 years
Okay.
off to take care of their kids, or of them just reduce
The hours.
the hours to half.
Okay.
So when you're around this, you feel like this is the right way to do.
Okay. Okay.
So you start like thinking, am I doing the right thing? Should I be taking like 1 year maybe to take care of my daughter, and
Mhm.
then I would be back? But I was also scared that I would be like, if I stop, it's gonna be hard for me
Completely. Yes.
to go back. Since I was a freelancer, it's not like working in a corporate.
Right.
So it makes it harder. But
Absolutely.
at a certain point, I decided like, okay, this is what I like, and I want my baby. I want to be happy, and my
Yes.
baby needs a mom that is happy around
That's
her.
happy. Yes.
So thank God, here in Spain we have kindergarten
Okay.
that you can bring your kids.
Yes.
So I decided to take my daughter to kindergarten. That was a
Okay.
lifesaver, that
Right.
taking care of her. And when
Yes.
she's in the kindergarten, I'm working. And when
Yes.
she's not, when I go, I put like hours. I'm like, okay, at
Okay.
5 I have to pick her up, and when
Right.
I'm with her, I'm 100% with her.
Right. You're
I'm like,
100. You go on full mommy mode once
yes.
you pick her up. Okay. Yes.
So I try to juggle both
Yes.
in
Yes.
this way. I'm like, okay, the hours I have to work, I'm working, and the hours
Yes.
I'm with my daughter, I try not to work on the weekend.
Okay.
If I work, maybe it's on Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
So is because before having kids, I was working all the time. So
Oh, wow.
now that I'm
24/7,
mom,
right? Always reachable, no boundaries,
always,
none of that.
always. So yes, when you become a mom, you have to change the way you face or the way you work,
Yes.
and even becoming, because I was working as a freelancer, it was going well, And this
Okay.
is when I decided to step up, and with my partner.
Okay.
Thank God. I have to say that it's not only my job.
Hmm.
It's important to have a life partner that is very
Yes.
understanding and that is helping. I
Absolutely.
don't like the word help, actually. That he's doing his part.
Very supportive. There you go.
Yes, very
Yes.
supportive, and he's doing also his part.
Okay.
So we are like a team,
Okay.
and we decided to create the agency together. So we are working
Okay.
together in this. So we like the personal life, raising a kid, and
Yes.
also trying to grow our agency.
Yes. So a partnership on both ends, right? Professional and personal. That's wonderful. But I imagine there are also challenges there, Fatima, because then I mean you're gonna have to draw boundaries like when do we stop talking about work and when do we just, when are we just a family? How do you
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that?
yeah. Of course, there are challenges every day. There are challenges, but actually, it's all about communication, and it's
Okay.
all about settling real boundaries and communicating. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
keep things, at the end, it's gonna blow. So
Blow
I was
up.
like, okay, I'm even when he asked me something like, okay, if I'm with my daughter right now, I'm not gonna talk about work.
Okay.
We try actually really, and he tries hard also as a father. When he's with
Okay.
our daughter, he tries to be a father,
Okay.
not to be on the phone all the time, even if it's not. It's complicated because our
Okay.
work is always the phone and
Of
online
course.
computer.
Of
But
course.
it's not easy every day, but we are trying.
Yes.
And
Yes.
being in a foreign country, actually, the most challenging thing is like my family is in France.
Okay.
My all my family is in France. My friends are in France, so it's
Yes.
harder because when you become a mom, even if when you're only a woman, you don't have kids. But one thing that I see that is hard for us as a woman is
Mhm.
asking for help.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so true. It's like we have to try everything, all the options, and when we still can't figure it out, then maybe we're gonna ask
Maybe
for
we
help.
ask for help.
Yes.
And becoming a mom, actually, that's what I was saying. Like it's an experiment I'm trying. I learned that I had to ask for help because I was like,
Yes.
no, of course. Since I go back to work, I went back to work. If I'm not able to do this, or if not, I'm not able. I can't maybe take care right now of my daughter because I have a huge meeting. If I
Mm-hmm.
ask for help, I was thinking they're gonna say, of course. How can you do it if you're working? You should be taken care of. So I was already all with all these.
Okay, all these battles in your yes, in your head, like all the voices telling you, well, you got yourself into that situation.
Yeah, so you have to
Okay.
get out of this situation by yourself. But at the
Right.
end, it's like, you have to let it go and ask for help. And that's why first I put my daughter in a kindergarten. And
Yes.
thank God we have she has her grandmother, and sometimes
Okay.
she's helping me.
Big help.
Thank God.
Very big help.
Yes,
Yes.
my mother-in-law is amazing, and thank God she's
Okay.
helping us. So you need to ask help
Yes.
because you cannot do everything. You're just gonna burn out. It's like, and it's important to have a team where you can delegate also the work.
Absolutely.
So it's important all this communication, create all
Yes.
these processes, being able to, because when you sometimes when you work, you want to do everything by yourself. And as a woman, we have this thing inside that we want to do everything by ourselves. Like when we are
Yes.
doing like the homework, all the work in the house, we're
The
like
housework. Okay. Okay.
housework. Like,
Yes.
should he do it? No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it better and
Right.
fast. It's like
Exactly. We
no,
have trust issues when it comes
trust
to
issues.
yes.
Sometimes at work too. So and it's so important to delegate also when you work. So you can have also this try to find this right balance. And the
Yes.
most important is to try to find the right people to work with.
Absolutely. Those are two gems. I mean, just the fact that the big lesson on learning how to ask for help, again, that's something we tend to take for granted. But then, and then when we realize that, we're really like, desperate, that's the time we ask for help when it would needs to happen before that, right?
Totally.
And then the second thing that you mentioned is really surrounding ourselves with the right people whom we can trust and we can who can be supportive of us and whom we can delegate things to so that we can keep our peace of mind and move on. So those things are very, very important.
And yeah, and
Yes.
think also, I think the last thing is like um, to let go of the perfection.
Oh, yes. Thank you for saying that. Very,
Yeah,
very important.
we want to
Yes,
be perfect at
perfectionism
everything.
never got us anywhere. So,
In never. So come on, you just have to do the best you can.
yes.
You do the best you can as a mom. You do the best as you can as an entrepreneur,
Yes.
as a wife too. You cannot be perfect at everything. The only thing is gonna do to you is you're gonna be overwhelmed and stressed.
Yes.
So no, and and that's it. I mean, this is so important because I mean, for instance, in my case, when I think
Hmm.
about my daughter, I always
Yes.
say, is she happy? Is she smiling?
Hmm.
If yes, that's fine.
Okay.
That's good. For me, that's the most important. And when
Yes.
I see her, she's running everywhere. She's smiling. I'm like, I'm doing a good job.
You're
I
doing a
don't
good
need
job.
to be like 10 hours with her. If
Right.
I am with her the right amount of time in a right with the
In the
right
right way, with the
way
right,
in the right
yes,
state of mind.
disposition. Yes.
That's it. That's the most important, I think.
And that's actually that's valuable insight, right there, Fatima, because again, precisely because we have so many roles, we get pulled into different directions. It's not very easy for us to need some kind of a validation to just tell ourselves,
Validation.
yeah, we're doing the right thing, right? But then the question is, okay, what parameters do we use to measure, certain measure, I mean, certain things, like, am I doing the right thing as a mom? So when you mentioned that, in your case, it's really just seeing your daughter smiling, happy, she's enthusiastic, she's running around. Okay, boom, that's it, that's enough. It means I'm on the right track.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
but it takes a while to get there, because there are everyone will tell you their own opinion about what you should be doing when you become a mom, and how many hours you should be spending with your child. But really, I mean, none of that.
No, and everyone is different. I mean, every
Yes.
situation is different. Every woman is unique. So every
Yes.
situation is unique. But I think one thing is important is you have to ask yourself, are you happy
Yes.
with what you're doing?
With what you're
Are you,
doing.
do you feel do you feel that you're I don't know how you say in English this, but do you
Fulfilled. Do you?
fulfilled?
Yes.
Yes. Do you feel fulfilled? Because if you don't feel fulfilled, it can bring a lot of negative things in your life. So the most important,
Absolutely.
because there are women that they are very happy to only be a mom, and it's
Yes.
fine. I mean, it's fun. But if you want to be also an entrepreneur and want to be, you want to keep working in fashion business and fashion
Yes.
industry, and you want to step up, you can find the right balance. I mean,
Yes.
for everyone is different. Some of the women, I guess, decided to reduce their hours. Some of them
Yes.
change. They decided to be in a role and maybe not try to escalate.
Not to get, yes, not to go higher anymore. Okay.
But there
Yes.
are a lot of women out there that want to be their own boss, and they're scared. They're scared
Yes.
because they like, if I'm working for someone and I'm not able to maybe to do everything, how I'm gonna be able to achieve it being an entrepreneur?
Right.
Well, it's a roller coaster. I mean, it's like up and down. But I think everything is like this in life. But when you're your own boss, I mean, for instance, when last week they called me and my daughter was sick,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, okay, I went to take her
Okay.
from the kindergarten. I brought her
Right.
home, and I was like, if I was working for someone, oh my god, maybe I would have to send someone.
Absolutely. It's funny because the exact same thing happened to me yesterday. And I get a call from my daughter. She's 8 years old, so she's in second grade. And I get a phone call from the school saying there's been a little accident, nothing grave. And the first thing that came into my mind was, wow, thankfully, I can actually literally drop everything at this moment, go there and check on her. And that's not something I could have been able, that was not something imaginable had I still been working in fashion. I would have probably had to justify why I had to disappear all of a sudden. And
Mhm.
that's that's not something I want to live with, not at this phase of my life. I mean, again, when we're younger, then there are certain things that we accept. But again, as experience teaches us, as we grow older, then we learn to define our boundaries, and some things are just not acceptable anymore.
No, totally. That's why, I mean, if you, I just want to say last thing is like, if you want to be your own boss and if you have like a project,
Mm-hmm.
go for it because you're never going to find the right moment to do it. This is why I started my agency because I was always saying like, oh, later, even before becoming a mom, I was like,
Okay.
oh, I will open my agency right now. No, no, no. But at a certain moment, I was like, you're never gonna find the right moment, so you have to go
Okay.
for it,
You just
and
have
then
to risk it and
risk
jump.
it,
Yeah,
jump and try and go for it, and it's fine. I mean, failures happen sometimes, but you learn from failures. So
exactly.
you will never, if you launch your own company and it's not working, it's fine. You have along the way you learn a lot of things and you can come
Absolutely.
back to work for corporate or for you can go back. I mean, it's
You know
fine.
what? Yes, that's so valuable, Fatima. I feel like and I hope for, for people who are watching us or who will be watching this at some point, because I know a lot of people in fashion who reach that point where they say, I'm not sure I want to continue. I might want to do things on my own, but what if I fail? What if things don't work out? But that's the thing. If things don't work out, you can always go back and do your 8 to 5, go back to corporate, go back to what you're good at. That's not a mistake. I mean, going back and saying, okay, that's not entrepreneurship or freelancing is not for me. I prefer to go. That's fine. That's not a
It's
failure.
fine.
You've grown in the meantime. In the meantime, you've taken that risk and you've realized you've learned so many things about yourself personally and professionally. So that is always an option, right?
Totally, totally. And if you don't risk it, you will never know. You will be living with like, if if I launch, if I did.
Exactly.
So it's good. I mean, try it, jump, see. Along the way you learn, and if it's
Yes.
not, because as you say, maybe it's not for you to be an entrepreneur, maybe it's not, so you go back and you work in a corporate, it's fine. I mean, it's isn't there is no better way of working. I mean, it depends on every people and every um ambition.
Yes. Absolutely. And again, I think that's something, well, kudos to the younger generations because they seem to they seem to understand this very well, right? The dynamics of work-life balance, of being
Oh yeah,
flexible, of really understanding what they want first, like what how they want their life structured, and then boom, put in the work somewhere in
totally.
there.
Yeah,
So
because our generation we grew up with a way of thinking. We found that the most important is to work for corporate
yes.
and maybe scale it, but
Yeah,
maybe it's not for everyone. And to be entrepreneur, it's hard, and for more women, it's harder too.
it's harder. Yes.
It's hard. So, but it's time also, as I told you, the things are changing. The new generation are part of a movement, and I
Yes.
guess if we don't step up as women to fight for what we want, um, we also need to to be able to make our own choices and decisions and not
Yes,
try to think what the society will think about us and what
absolutely.
they think around us. So just as I always say, like the head high, keep your head
Keep
high
your head high. Yes,
and a
yes.
smile in your face
And
and
a
go
smile
for
on your
it.
face. Wonderful. Wow. You've had a very interesting and, a very rich journey, both personally and professionally thus far. I mean, Fatima, I'm sure that your clients are very, very lucky to work with you, because then again, you bring a wealth of insights and learnings from all these travels, from all these shifts. So, really congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that. So if you have any last words for maybe other professionals in fashion who are, they're thinking, maybe, do I want to make that shift? Do I want to give it a try? Is entrepreneurship for me? Is this something worth looking into? You know,
Well, it's definitely worth looking for it. I mean, actually, I'm very happy I made this. This is what I always say. Everything happened for a reason. And what
okay,
happened in my last experience working for a company in the startup happened because I had to make this shift, because I
right.
had to make this change in my life. Because sometimes we are all scared of changes
Yes.
because we are good in our comfort zone.
Yes.
We know everything. We are used to this routine and we feel secure. But I
Yes.
think changes and are good.
Yes.
And I think if you always had this thing in your mind that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, I think go for it. See why, because if you have it here inside, maybe it's for a reason. So
Right.
try it. You try it and see, as we say. Like if it's not for you, it's okay. It's fine.
Right.
You can go back. There's no
Absolutely.
there's no mistakes at the end. It's
Yes.
just like trying. It's all about trying and
Yes.
living new experiences. So I would say, yeah, go for it.
Go for it. Yes. So listen to that voice and just, at least give yourself that benefit of pursuing,
Yes,
um
obviously.
and then you'll find out, right? I mean, again, there are no mistakes.
This is why this there is a quote I love that was like, dream starts out of your comfort zone.
Very nice. Very nice
So if
and
you
very
have dreams of being a, because in my case, I don't know, but I have always known since I was a young girl that I
Mhm.
wanted to be a businesswoman. I
Okay.
always knew that I wanted, and at a certain point, I wanted to be my own boss. I
Yes.
always had it inside, but I had
Okay.
to do the jump. Like
Yes.
I will go for it. I will try it.
Yes.
So don't think about what they're gonna think about you. Don't think
Right.
about failure. Just try.
Yes.
All the big people that have a big companies,
At
they
some point they also
at
had to try, right?
yes, they all had their failures also
Yes.
before having like huge companies. It's not only the beauty of having a big companies; it's a long
Mhm.
way.
Absolutely. We only see we of course we only see the, like, the beautiful part of the picture, right? Like the successful part of the story. We don't really see what they had to go through. And you're right, more often than not they did go through, all those trial and errors that every
Trial and
business
error. Yes,
person has to go through anyway. Yes.
yes.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, Fatima, it has been so wonderful chatting with you today. I mean,
Thank you.
it's been really insightful. I mean, this conversation has given us so much. And really, again, congratulations to you, on your agency. And
Thank
I've
you.
I've put it here, the IG your IG handle. So for those of you who would like to explore, um, the possibilities of working with Fatima, then you can reach out to her. And yes, again, thank you so
Thank
much.
you to you.
And I
Thank
look
you.
forward to I look forward to doing this again sometime in the future.
I hope so too. Thank you for your time too. Thank you
Okay.
for having me here.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. You're very welcome. Bye bye.
Bye.